Well, hey everybody, welcome to episode 3 of the Paws Up Podcast, your spot for all things FIU athletics. And we got a special one, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we're live for the first time in this show's history. We're talking with the one, the only, the Athletics Director of FIU, none other than Scott Carr. How you doing, Scott?
I'm doing great, Jake. Thanks for having me on, you guys. Good to see you, Kevin, as well.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure. Scott Carr has been the athletic director of FIU for just about a year now. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, 5 days ago, it was the 1-year anniversary of when you were appointed as the next athletics director here at FIU. Scott has been in the game for 25 years. Prior to this, has had spots in University of Central Florida, Auburn, Southern Miss, and even the Orange Bowl. Correct me if I've missed a spot, Scott.
No, you nailed it. Those are all the stops, and I had a chance to visit with the Board of Trustees at their meeting this afternoon and told them 363 days ago I was at the Board of Trustee meeting on December 8th. That was the day that the story was breaking that we were hiring Coach Mack. When I went and talked to them that day, but 363 days since the board meeting, and I guess 300 and what did we come up with? 370 or so since I took the job on December 1st of 21. So it's been an awesome year and couldn't be more excited about our future.
I have fond memories of when you first joined FIU, that original press conference at the what is it? What do they call it? The cage at the Graham Center at the podium, and just seeing all the students and some of the athletes, coaches, everyone was lined up to hear what you had to say about the future of FIU athletics. And it was an awesome moment and a year. Where did the time go? Just felt like we were getting ready for our football season last year when we played Long Island, and now we'll become full circle. Another season in the history book. So again, thank you so much for being here, Scott. Hopefully we can make this a thing. We might have to bring you back for baseball and whatnot. Hey, all right.
Absolutely. Whatever we need to do to get the Panther name out there.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. And when I was the sports director of Panther Now, we were lucky to have Scott join us on on the podcast there, The Claw, and that was a super fun time. And yeah, like I said, just any time to get to talk about FIU and FIU athletics, that's what we're here for. So let's get right into it. As we just talked about, it's been a year, a little over a year, I should say, since December 1st of 2021. You've had that time to get settled into FIU, become the athletic director, and just give us your honest thoughts. How do you feel about the current state of FIU athletics?
I couldn't feel better. I'm super excited. We had a good first year. Needed to do a lot of laying of the foundation, as they say. There was just a lot of, I'm going to call it sort of behind the scenes work that we needed to get done. Things like starting up an annual fund that we call the Panther Club. We needed to get the wheels in motion on that. That just takes a little while to get that up and going, and doing some different things with looking into facilities and some of those different areas where we're in the middle of working on a strategic plan. So we're working on that strategic plan still. We should have that done here in the next few months. We're going to be working on a facilities master plan that'll have a capital campaign to go along with it, so we can get out there and do some fundraising and start upgrading our facilities. And so, just had a really good opportunity to get a good first year, a good base, as I call it. And the whole goal is that this year 2 is going to be much better, much bigger. We're going to accomplish a lot more. And so that's always going to be the goal. Every time we accomplish something, we'll celebrate for a minute, and then it's going to be right back into let's take it to another level.
As soon as I saw the billboards on the turnpike advertising FIU football and FIU athletics, I was like, oh man, we got something special brewing here. FIU is going to be on the map. This is so cool. Since
I forgot about that. That was so long ago. I said I forgot about that. It was so long ago. I had forgotten about the billboards.
But it was massive in my opinion, just to get the word out there. You know how many people are on the turnpike every day seeing FIU advertised. Tell you one thing, I don't recall seeing a University of Miami billboard or FAU billboard on the turnpike, but FIU, they were front and center.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what sections of FIU athletics do you believe that you've improved the most since your time here?
That's a great question. I think the areas that I was really trying to take on year one, I think we've had a lot of improvement in them. So I'll start with building the brand, right? That was a big piece. Was we really wanted to get active on social media. We wanted to get really good there, get better there. We've had a chance to hire a few people that are really doing a good job for us now. I think we're starting to hit our stride in that area to really be able to engage with our fan base, because we have such a young fan base, and that ties in really well to social media platforms, right? Is being able to reach people that way. Definitely wanted to make an impact with FIU students, to really get out and meet them and let them know how important they were to us. And happy to say that from an attendance standpoint at football, it was the most students that have come to our football games since 2011. So we're happy about that, but not satisfied, right? We want to beat that number next year. So definitely wanted to make an impact there. Wanted to make an impact on the game day experience. The feedback that we got, we did some surveys back in January of last year and got some feedback from our fans about just how important tailgating was in some other areas. So getting use of Tamiami Park and being able to do some of the things that we did for the game day experience. I think people really enjoyed the game day this year. The promenade area for the students to tailgate, I think, was a big hit. So was really excited about that. Revenue generation. That was something we really wanted to focus on. We sold more football season tickets this year than last year. We've raised more money this year than we did the year before. So really wanted to focus on revenue generation. Again, we did a nice job there, but we got to do better, right? We got to continue to do better and get things going. So those are some areas that we and then really getting out into the university community and building those relationships with people on campus, because the number of people on campus, non-students I'm talking about now, that the staff members that just love FIU athletics and want to see us be successful. So needed to get out and meet a lot of those folks, and then getting out to just meet the Panther family, getting out and doing some alumni events and getting out there and meeting a lot of people. That was exactly what I was trying to get accomplished this year, was just to really kind of check all of those boxes and make sure that we were in a good place. And then there was a one it's always hard to measure, but you get positive feedback on it, is we really needed a culture change in a lot of our sports programs. You know, we've talked a lot about that with football, but just in the athletics department in general, right? It just to have a little different attitude and a little different thought process, and have a lot of positivity and a lot of high aspirations, set some goals high, and put a plan together to go achieve those. So again, you asked a question, Jake. I could probably talk for another 2 hours about year one, but those are some of the main ones.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And to the fellows watching live on Twitter and YouTube, we appreciate the comments you've been rolling in. And if you're watching and have any questions for myself, Kevin, or Scott, please feel free to ask them down in the comments. I'll be happy to address them later on. So what areas of FIU athletics are you actively looking to change or fix right this moment? Like what's on the top of your to-do list right now?
Sure. Revenue generation, brand building, right? Mm-hmm. Those are always going to be front and center. We've really got to get out to our fan base and let them know how much we need them, how much we need their support, right? And what that means is we need them to join the Panther Club. We need them to buy tickets, come to the sporting events. We need that. We really need that. Year one, it was just more talking about who we were and what we were trying to do. Now we really just need people to step up and support us financially, mm-hmm. so that we can really take things to another level. It's so hard to. I like that graphic you just put up. That's great. But
GG's, Kevin.
Yeah, that's great. Nice work, Kevin. But it's that's really what we need, right? I mean, we need more resources for our student athletes so we can really get to a high level of success, whether it be facilities, scholarships, retaining coaches, all the different things that we need to do to be a successful program. This year two is going to be a year of resources, right? Really getting out there and getting those resources going. But the other things that are top of mind, obviously, we got a football coaching staff that we really want to keep together. We've got a men's soccer staff that we really want to keep together, right? I mean, so there's always those things that you're working on every day to make sure that you're continuing to not just maintain, but grow and grow on the success that you've had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Scott, I wanted to get to the next question, talking a little bit about, you mentioned at the start of the show your past endeavors, or at least Jake mentioned, UCF, Auburn, Southern Miss, Orange Bowl. How has the work that you've done over there helped you now for this new role as the athletic director of FIU?
Sure. Great question. And the simplest way I can answer that is, though all those experiences have thoroughly prepared me for this role, is the best way I can say it. There's this first year, I can look back on it, even though there was a lot of curveballs, as they say, right? A lot of, just a lot of things that you just said, well, I didn't see that one coming, right? Just things coming out of nowhere. And it was, I was able to be unfazed, right? It was something where I said, oh, we've done that before. I've dealt with that before. I've dealt with something similar. I've seen how that works. I know how that works. So it was great preparation. I had some wonderful mentors at all my stops. Just some really highly successful people that cared about me, wanted to see me succeed. Obviously, I have a phenomenal mentor in my father, who's a former athletics director at a couple different schools. And so it's in my blood, as you all have heard me say before. And so all of those experiences really helped me get prepared for where I am today. And obviously the Orange Bowl experience was great because I knew Miami, right? I mean, I lived here for 4 years and was familiar with it. That doesn't mean that the first thing I complained about when I got home tonight was how brutal traffic was today going to and from work. For whatever reason, it was worse than normal. So just because I've been here before doesn't mean that you get used to the traffic sometimes. But we love it here, and all those different stops just really got me ready for this role.
Yeah, now I wanted to ask a little bit about the campus life over at FIU. I mean, what do you think about the campus and student life at both campuses, the MMC one and then the Biscayne Bay campus?
Sure. Well, obviously, I've spent a lot more time at the MMC campus, and including being a resident for 6 months. My first 6 months, right? I was living there on campus. I love that commute. I never complained about traffic.
Lakeview South, right? I want to recall.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. Lakeview South, absolutely. But no, I think the campus life is phenomenal. It's been great for me, really, to see what it was like in the fall, right? Because I could really see the additional students, the additional energy. And it's been great all fall to see so many students on campus. I love it. Like today, walking through the Graham Center and just seeing so many students everywhere. And, Jake, you mentioned my introductory interview there at the pit in the Graham Center. Well, there was a ton of students in there watching some World Cup soccer this afternoon. So that was great just to see the young people that were in there. And, I am a huge fan of the fact that they have, that we've opened Tamiami Hall right there by the football stadium. That's almost 700 more students living in that residence hall there. I think that's huge. I was talking to somebody, it was either today or yesterday, just randomly, and just saying, just think about 700 students each semester living in Tamiami Hall that weren't able to live on campus in the past. Think about the affinity and the love they're going to have for FIU because they lived on campus. Think about what that'll look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now. I'm such a big proponent of the more time you spend on the campus, the more love you have for the campus. And so I'm just super excited for FIU as a whole, certainly for athletics. That's my role, but just for the university, the campus as a whole, all the students that get a chance to live in that residence hall and just what they're going to think about FIU 10, 15, 20 years from now, and the love they'll have for our campus just because they lived on it. I'm excited for that.
I just want to quickly reiterate, like you said, the importance of Tamiami Hall and the students living here. This is a campus that's only going to get bigger as the years go on. It's destined to. As more students come in, there's more need for dorms and dining locations. Just the overall activities that students can take part in on campus. And you brought up Tamiami Hall, and you and I have both seen the amazing atmosphere, the amazing game day atmosphere right outside Tamiami Hall. Whether it's the band, the cheerleaders, the mascot, and all the 20 different booths where students can get engaged with some of the programs, and not to mention the parking, the tailgating right behind it. It's absolutely unbelievable to see that sort of shape up, and to again the game day student atmosphere and the experience that students could get at FIU. It's absolutely important. You know, I've spent my 4 years there. It was absolutely awesome, and to see it grow further, which is what it has to do to survive. It's absolutely awesome.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, you took the words out of my mouth. It's been incredible. And I won't name the school, but I actually had an athletics director when they came in town. They were just walking around campus and came down through the promenade. And they said, "This is incredible. I wish I had this at my campus." You know, where this student tailgating area that's so beautiful, that's right outside the stadium gates. And so we've got something really special, and we just need to continue to engage our students. You know, I think the first night event that we did for the students at the stadium this year, that Monday night, the first night of classes, whenever that was in August, you know, probably, I think we had 3,500 students or so come to the stadium that night. And, you know, they came back the next week for that Bryant game, right? We had over 4,000 students at the Bryant game. So just continuing to do that and really engage the students and really make that promenade electric is definitely going to be a high priority for us.
Scott, you've had a lot of big moments this season with the soccer team getting, you know, to the NCAA tournament, the football team getting the 4 wins, basketball getting off to a pretty good start. What has been your favorite moment so far now in this year as the FIU athletic director?
Wow. Yeah. Kevin, you're right, man. If I were to sit down and put them all down there, starting with my press conference, right, and then you know, and then Coach Mack's press conference a week later, and then I mean, you know, it's incredible the amount of favorite moments that I've had. But I'm gonna go with this because it's not a single moment, but it's the number of times I've had student athletes come up and say thank you, right, and just you know, we appreciate what you do, or you know, me walking on campus and having our student athletes say hello and just let me know how happy they are, right? Those are the special moments for me. That's what it's all about. I love when the fans say that. I love when our alums say that. I love when my bosses, you know, Dr. Jessel and the trustees, when they say it, that's great too. But it means the most. And my favorite moments and what drives me is when our student athletes or just share some sort of an experience with me, whatever it is, right? Whatever the positive experience is, when they share that, it's wonderful, right? Again, I mean, you know, jumping off the 10-meter platform after we won the swimming conference championship, that was a scary moment. I'm not going to lie, I was a little nervous up there, but you know, and like you said, celebrating with the soccer team. I mean, just there's so many great moments. Celebrating with the football team when they were getting some of those wins. I mean, just again, all of those are just so special. And you know, when student athletes, you know, which is crazy to me, but you know, they might thank me for being at their event, right? And you can see how much it means to them, just that myself or some of our staff are there supporting them. That's what drives me to want to get up and attack the job every day.
Yeah, and you know, something I noticed especially is how each sport supports each other. I mean, you look at soccer, for example, when they were in the tournament. I mean, you saw football out there, you saw basketball there, baseball out in the one of the goalposts behind it there. It's just a lot of support there, and I know you love to see a lot of that, Scott. I wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask the people in the comment section that we will be answering those questions at the end of the show once we did our usual run through of this. Jake, if you're cool with that, so I'm gonna take it to you. Cool. I know you have a question for Scott.
So, you mentioned talking to the students and talking to the athletes. That means you're walking around campus quite a bit. What has become your go-to hangout spot on campus, and or your favorite dining location?
Well, I think my favorite hangout spot ends up being my office. Unfortunately, that's where I spend all my time. But no, honestly, I love the Graham Center because there's just so much, you know, there's so much energy in there, right? I mean, it's great. It's a great facility, right? There's great restaurants in there and food and different things in there, but I love the energy. I love just going through there and it's always buzzing, right? There's so many students talking and, you know, all tables set up, you know, whether it be with student organizations or, you know, what else that they may be setting up in there. So I really just love going through the Graham Center, but the campus is so beautiful. I mean, I love water and I love palm trees. So I think I'm a perfect fit, right? I'm a perfect fit for FIU and for our campus, right? Because that's what I love. And something that was really cool is I actually had another athletics director, a different one from the one I told you before, and then even my dad, who's a former athletics director, he was in town for the Thanksgiving week, and both of them in different conversations told me how beautiful our campus is, how well kept it is, right? I mean, just so many campuses you go to, there might be a pretty section of campus, and then there's a not so nice section of campus, right? And really at FIU, it's all immaculate. They keep the ground so well, right? The grass is mowed, it's edged, it's green, everything looks great, and so we love that. And I guess I'm kind of stumbling here, Richard, because I've always gone Richard, and you got Jake up there on the screen.
Yeah,
so I'm seeing Jake, and I'm so used to calling you Richard for a year, so I'm not sure where I'm supposed to go right now. But it's one of those where I know, when we were talking when I first got here, that I love food, right? I'm a foodie, so I'm always trying to eat at different places. But now that I've actually finally moved into a house, I'm finding more food spots down here than I'm getting up there. But from a convenience standpoint, I end up at Tropical Smoothie probably more than anything, just because it's the closest place. And if I need to grab a quick bite, I'm just running right there to get something. But Chili's is a great spot up there, right? Right there with the water and the outdoor seating and stuff. And but there's a lot of great food options on campus, and I think they do a really nice job with that. It's just for me, I end up throwing something in the microwave and eating at my desk most of the time, because that's the amount of time that I've got to have lunch.
Never forget the Ropa Vieja story. Never forget it.
Yes, that's
Kevin,
right.
Kevin, you'll need to learn that one day.
Yes, Ropa Vieja, Kevin, Ropa Vieja.
Yeah,
I need to learn, huh?
Yes, absolutely. If it's on the plate, you got to take it down. That's basically.
I've had it. My grandma makes it. It's pretty dang good. So
well, if you put it on your plate, you got to finish it. That's the moral.
Mm-hmm. That's Scott's motto, all right. Finish what you need to. Oh yeah.
It's not better than me. I'm going to compete. I'm going to compete in everything, man. And if you put a big old bowl of Ropa Vieja in front of me, I'm going to win. So just know that.
I love it. I love it. Scott, I wanted to ask you what you've done outside of FIU. Maybe gone to a Heat game, Dolphins game. You've gone to any of those sporting events thus far in your time at FIU? I have not.
I have not made it to those. I was at the Orange Bowl game last December. I'm a member as the AD at FIU. I'm a member of the Orange Bowl committee, so I'll be at the Orange Bowl game again this year. But I have not made it to some of those. I was going to try to make it to the tennis, because that was working in my schedule, but I think it rained that day or something, so they were canceling stuff. Yeah. But I haven't made it to many of those sporting events, to be honest with you. If I'm either going to FIU sporting events or I'm spending time with my family. I haven't made it to too much other stuff. I made it to the Marlins Stadium, but that was for That was for the Baptist Health had a function, so I was going to that. But I haven't made it to too many of those areas. I'm trying to think. We've been to the beach a few times, right? The one there, Bill Baggs, I think it's called there on Key Biscayne. So we've been to the beach a few times because that's my deal. I'm a beach guy, and from a competitive standpoint, as I tell people all the time, is I've never lost when I went to the beach. I'm undefeated. Every time I go to the beach, I have a great time. So I'm undefeated there. So we end up going there, and then we our house now is down here in Palmetto Bay, so we're 35 minutes away from Key Largo. So that's always nice to just be able to kind of run down there, and whether you go to penny camp or do something like that, just to relax a little bit that way. That's sort of how I'm wired. And then my younger brother lives up in Parkland, so he's an hour away, and one of my best friends lives in Parkland. So sometimes if we have a few hours off, we may sneak up there and say hello to them for an afternoon or something like that. But I haven't made it to the pro sports down here just yet.
No, you got to get down there soon. I will say that they're looking good. Dolphins looking good. We talked some Dolphins here as well.
Let me say this though, Kevin. So let me go on record to say this, okay?
Uh-oh.
All right, because I always like to point these kinds of things out when it's not my team. I just want all the Dolphin fans to remember what they were saying this time last year. so that there'll be a little bit less to say stuff about certain people in the future. Because this time last year when I moved down here, the Dolphin fans were not happy with a certain quarterback, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
now everybody's wearing his jersey, right?
Mm-hmm.
When everybody this time last year should have been giving him a little grace. And
I'm with you there. Absolutely.
Okay, instead they were giving him a hard time.
Kevin and I are the 1% that have always loved Tua.
So you guys know what I'm saying. So every time I meet a Dolphin fan, I make sure I call them out for the fact that coming into the season, they were basically like, well, I'm just not sure about it. Okay, well, you got yourself a heck of a quarterback and a heck of a team. So I just like to always point that out when it's when I can get a little jab in there sometimes, you know, and because it's not, I don't have a dog in that hunt. But you know, sometimes people are a little quick on the Twitter trigger, and they don't, you know, and then they're a little slow on the apology on the Twitter trigger. So I like to call that out when it has nothing to do with me.
Yeah, I will say.
Keep going. I cut you off. Sorry.
No, go for it, man. Go for it. I was gonna say I actually bought it to a jersey maybe a month after he got drafted, so I've had that and I still wear it. So I've always been a believer in Tua. Jake knows that. I know Jake's always been a believer in Tua.
Haven't missed a game yet, you know.
Yes, exactly. He, you know, again, he seems, I don't know him obviously, but he seems like a great person. I always like to root for good people, and he seems, from what I can tell, he seems like a really good person. But I get a good chuckle out of it when I see all these Dolphin fans that are you know over the moon, and I'm going, I don't think that's where you were this time last year. So
those people are still here. They had a tough loss against San Francisco, and those people that had nothing to say when Tua was on that 5-game winning streak, they've crawled out of their holes and are back on Twitter.
A lot of silence when he's doing well, right? There's silence when he's doing well, and all of a sudden one bad game, and here we go, right? So
exactly.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about. No, it's okay. It's okay. I want to talk some football as well, Scott. Yeah. You know, FIU football, pretty good season, really good season. I mean, when you look at the last two seasons combined, 1 win in the last 2 seasons. There, you bring Coach McIntyre, you bring a pretty, you know, new coaching staff. It seemed to have worked very well as they went 4-8. Although it's not the record you guys want to see, it's still a huge improvement compared to what you saw last year from this team. How would you assess the football season?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I was very pleased with everything from a holistic standpoint, right? Like you said, when you're in this business, you want to go 12-0 every year, right? I mean, you know, that's we all know that's not realistic, but that's what you want to do. You aspire to win every game. You go into every game with a game plan that you feel good about, that you know that you think you can win. But to your point, Kevin, we knew at least a couple weeks after we got here. I'm not going to say we knew day one. We knew that it was going to be a rebuild, right? We knew that it was going to take some time, right? And so I'm very pleased with Coach McIntyre, the staff that he put together, the culture that he's built with our football team. I mean, we're I'll give the credit to Eric Henry, because I believe I read it in one of his tweets a while back that we were the 3rd youngest FBS football team. So I'll take his word for that. He's a great guy, and so I'll
shout out to Eric.
Yeah, he's
Eric,
great.
If you're watching, you're up next, buddy. Okay, Eric? We got you.
Yeah. And so, you know, so we knew we were young. We knew there'd be a lot of growing pains. We knew that, you know, of course, the team had gone 1 win in 2 years, right? So we knew part of the culture change was that the young men needed to believe, right? They needed to trust the coaching staff. They needed to believe that they could win. And I think you saw that a lot when, you know, we might have a bad loss, right? And then win the next week. Right. Or, you know, maybe we didn't play well 1 week, and then the next week, maybe we didn't win, but we played really well. Right. And the one thing that I saw all year long was that we played hard. Our young men, they never gave up. They played hard. They wanted to win. You know, it's just, we weren't, you know, we were very young. We weren't really deep. Right. So we knew going in that injuries needed to be, you know, in our favor, and they certainly weren't. You know, we had, I don't know how many different offensive linemen that got injured, and defensive backs got injured. And, you know, we just suffered a lot of injuries throughout the year, some with the defensive line and things as well. And, but couldn't be more pleased with a year one, building the foundation, getting ready for year 2. I'm I'm really excited about this next year and what we can do. And, looking forward to to signing day on December 21st. And then again in February, and, knowing that we're going to do really well there as well, between, getting some great high school players, but also some junior college and some transfers. I'm really excited about year 2 under Coach Mack's leadership.
Yeah, and I want to get into that a bit, but I do want to ask you about McIntyre himself. How did the hire come to be? How were the conversations like prior to Coach McIntyre being hired, and why did you end up choosing Coach Mack?
Sure, absolutely. Well, it was one where we interviewed a lot of people, right? We wanted to be very thorough. We interviewed a lot of people, and something, for me that was really, really big was the culture piece. I knew from, the first thing that I did to start the search was I met with the current players, the current team, and asked them, what they wanted me to look for in a coach, not who they wanted me to look for in a coach, but what they wanted me to look for in a coach. Mm-hmm. And everything they said basically was culture, right? I mean, I'm not going to share specific answers, but everything they shared was basically, culture. Yep. And so we knew Coach McIntyre was going to bring that. And then we also knew that this was it was a rebuild. It was a heavy lift, right? This was going to be a heavy lift to get us to where we wanted to be. And Coach McIntyre's track record of having 2 really heavy lifts and being successful at both and having that head coaching experience, we just thought was invaluable. And 12 months in, I can tell you, I was talking to somebody literally about it today and said, man, Coach Mack was absolutely the right person at the right time, because some of the things that he's dealt with this first 12 months that have come his way, whether it be, things from an academic standpoint, from a transfer standpoint, from again, putting a staff together, being able to handle some things within budget, right? And all the things that we're doing, just a masterful job in that regard. Again, did we want 4? Do we want to be 4-8 or 8-4, right? Well, of course we want to be 8-4, right? And once we're 8-4, we want to be 12-0, right? I mean, it's, but it's there was so much that needed to be done to get this program on track. And we just knew that Coach Mack, again, what he did at San Jose State, what he did at Colorado, he was just a great fit for us. And again, I'll tell people this all the time. I like to hire people that are incredible human beings, wonderful human beings, right? And he checks that box and then some. So that's really, as we were going through our process, there's a lot of people kind of neck and neck, and you keep interviewing and you're going and you're like, okay, Coach McIntyre is doing this. And it was very easy. You're like, okay, we know exactly who we want to hire. So, so it was a great process. And his 1-year anniversary is actually going to be this Friday. So December 9th, we signed the contract December 8th, but the press conference was December 9th. So I don't know if the 8th or the 9th is his anniversary, but I'll celebrate both days with him.
Not that I was going to say, just give them both dates to celebrate that. And very quickly, we spoke about the Dolphins quickly. MLB free agency, Jake. I don't know how much you're keeping up with that, but Mitch Haniger just signed with the San Francisco Giants. We saw the Aaron Judge news that ended up being fake there. So it's 3 years, $45 million for my free agent followers over there in the draft lottery. First ever MLB draft lottery is set to start now at 8:30, or just started. So I know, Jake, you have a couple other questions about football.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love the little cut there with baseball, and
we gotta throw it in.
Oh, of course. Scott, you talking about Mike, because Mike is that guy. He is him. He brings the energy to everywhere he goes, whether it's that press conference, whether it's any sporting event he goes to. I still fondly remember that photo with you and Mike just popping off after a play at a basketball game over at the Oshman Conversation Center. You and him were just popping on. It was so cool. It was so cool. But one of the things that Mike has promoted heavily is recruiting here, recruiting in the South Florida area, and going so far as not just the unlimited talent that the high schools here in South Florida produce, but also JUCO and also around and around the rest of the country. Just give me your thoughts on overall recruiting so far for Mike's tenure, the amazing talent he's been able to bring in, and along with that, this is a two-parter. Also, I'd love to know your thoughts on the transfer portal and how it's both benefited and as well as hurt FIU football down this stretch so far, as the transfer portal evolves along with the rest of college football.
Sure, absolutely. That's a lot, man. Are we ending at midnight or at 1 a.m.? But no, it's yeah. So I'll start with the recruiting piece. Obviously, to kind of go back to a little bit of Kevin's question for the interview piece. Coach McIntyre did a great job answering how he was going to recruit down here, and basically the easy way I can say it is how relentless he was going to be, and the relationships that he and his staff were going to build here in South Florida. And I know I know that's accurate. He spoke at I'm trying to think of what the event was called back in the spring. He spoke at an event up in Broward County area with a lot of coaches and young men that were winning awards, football awards. And he was the guest speaker. And I actually had a high school coach at one of the big time programs down here. When I met this high school coach, just say, Scott, phenomenal hire with Coach McIntyre. He said, I didn't know who Coach McIntyre was when you hired him. He said, but the relationship he's already built with me and the staff. And he goes, and I hear the same thing from other coaches in the area. He said, phenomenal hire. Right. And so he's doing those things, right? He has a plan for how he's going to make sure that he's got those relationships built with all the coaches down here. So he's doing a great job with that. I've been very pleased with the recruiting that he's doing. He knew last year, just to give you a gauge of when I say that we knew that there was a lot of building that needed to be done. When he took over the football program, we had 6 offensive linemen on scholarship. 6 on scholarship, right? I mean, that's, you want to have closer to 15, right? At least 12, but maybe 15. And so he signed a ton of offensive linemen this past year. And, some were high school, some were junior college, some were transfers, right? I mean, it was a little bit of everything. And I think that's what coaches and Coach Mack are seeing is the formula now, right? It used to be as a coach before the whole transfer portal piece, you were signing high school kids and every once in a while a junior college here and there or whatever. And now you're realizing that there's going to be that balance. You're going to get X number of high school and X number of JUCO/transfer to help fill some immediate needs and get some guys with experience while you're getting those high school guys in the weight room and used to the speed of the game in college. And so we have a lot of true freshmen on our team right now that are South Florida guys. Some that saw some minutes this year and some that maybe redshirted and are getting prepared for next year that we're really excited about. Coach Mack has an eye for talent. John Bach was his first one of his first signees, right? And he saw him the first day. We hired Coach that Thursday. He did the press conference, I think, on that Friday. That Friday was the last day you could actually go out and recruit, if my memory serves correctly. And he went to the practice John was at, and he saw him and he said, "Who is that?" Right? And the coach was telling him who it was, and he goes, "That young man is going to be a heck of an offensive lineman." And he came back and told me, he goes, "Yeah, the young man we just offered today for offensive line," he goes, "he'll play early here." Now he ended up starting, right? He started every game this year, I think, except he might have been injured for one of them, but. Incredible talent that, imagine how good he's going to be even moving forward. So doing a great job in South Florida, and then shifting to the transfer portal a little bit. I mean, it's everybody's getting used to it. I mean, it's one of those where I think as administrators and coaches, we've made the adjustment faster than the fans. I follow multiple different schools. And so FIU is not the only school that has fans trying to figure out this whole portal. And man, people are leaving and, starters are leaving, and you're going, go to any school in the country, go to P5 schools, go to, you name a school and they got starters that are leaving. I mean, it's a really crazy, time right now with the portal. I think over the next few years, it'll settle down a little bit. I hope it does, because one of the unfortunate pieces to the portal that I don't think people talk about a whole lot is about 50% of the young men in football that go into the portal don't find a home.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden that scholarship that they had to get that education is gone, right? Because they go in the portal and the school where they went left is going to fill that spot, right? And so they may not have a spot for them anymore if they decide that they're not going somewhere or they don't get an offer somewhere. So, that's something that these young men really have to be careful about, is that, you put yourself in the portal, that automatically basically takes you off a scholarship at where you are, right? And so, it releases you from the scholarship so other schools can talk to you. And that's something that's breaking my heart, because for me, I want to see these young men and young women, but we're talking football right now. I want to see these young men get that degree, because I know how that changes their life. But back to the transfer portal, the way I see it, the way we see it, I'll speak for me more than Coach Mack, but I know he's on the same page I am, is, we're going to get as well, if not better, as what we're going to end up giving, right? To kind of flip that saying around a little bit to make it work in this setting is, yes, we're going to lose some good players to other schools, but we're also going to get some really good players to replace the players that left, right? And so your goal is always, if you lose somebody, you want to replace them with somebody that's better, right? I mean, and sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't, right? And that doesn't mean that you ever want to, lose players or lose your starters. You'd love for it to be like it was traditionally, where somebody comes to play for you and they're yours for 4 or 5 years, right? That's their one school, right? College wasn't the bounce around as much as the NFL, right? With free agency and things was in the past. It was, most young men, it was one school, one team, right? For their career. And, so you just have to adjust. You have to be as much of a general manager as you do a coach these days, and work that roster, and just know that, hey, we just lost an offensive lineman. Okay, well, we need to add an additional offensive lineman into our recruiting mix this year, right? So we need to, and we probably want to get somebody that's got some experience, because the guy that just left had some experience, and but we've got these freshmen or these sophomores that are pretty much getting ready, and they should be ready to be starters too. And so you just have to really, you always had to manage the roster as a football coach, but it's just a different level of management now. It's much more unique, because you may not know until a week after the football season's over that somebody's leaving your team and going in the portal, and you were counting on them to be a starter next year, right? So it's a much different situation, but hopefully in the next few years it'll settle down a little bit more, where it feels a little bit more pure, right? Because I think sometimes now that there's a lot of people that are getting in these young men's ears and saying you should transfer for XYZ reason, whatever it is. And it's not even the young man that's been thinking about transferring. It's all of a sudden, a family member, a friend, somebody starting to get in their ear and say, hey, you should go to this school. You should go to that school. You could get money or NIL money here, or you could get, if they're starting, you're not going to get more playing time somewhere else than you're getting at your current school if you're starting.
Yeah.
But I think I saw something yesterday where in the ACC, 5 or 6 of their quarterbacks that were starters on day one are in the transfer portal right now, and that's in the ACC, right? I mean, so it's some crazy times for sure.
Oh yeah. So before we get to our news break, let's quickly talk a bit about soccer, because it seems like all soccer does is break expectations exponentially. It seems like that's all they do. So ever since you've arrived at FIU, you've made a point about bringing home championships. You talked about it in your opening presser, and the men's soccer team has held through. They got 2 this year, a regular season title, and then the conference title as well. On a scale of 1 to 10, how satisfied were you with the team's results?
I've got to give it a 10, honestly. I mean, I think they played extremely well. The thing about soccer, as we know, is you can play better than the other team and not get the result, right? I mean, I have no issues with how well we played at Duke, right? I mean, we had more shots on goal. We had more shot attempts. They just, their goalkeeper made some great saves, and they had the one heel kick that they happened to score on. But outside of that, we limited their chances. And I thought we played our hearts out. I thought we played really well. And that's the frustrating part about soccer. A lot of times is, you can feel like maybe you were the better team that day, but you didn't get the result. And so I'm extremely proud of them. Again, I think the culture in our men's soccer program is phenomenal. I think that culture, certainly you need talent as well, right? Culture without talent, you're still not going to win a lot, right? So, but you take culture with talent, and that's the winning formula. So we're super excited about our program and our coaching staff, our student athletes. They're getting it done in the classroom. They're getting it done on the field. They're getting it done in the community. They've got great character. The young men on the team. So couldn't be more pleased with where we are with our men's soccer program for sure.
Yeah, Scott. Final question when it comes to soccer. I want to ask you the expectations going into next season. What are they? I mean, obviously, they must be sky high after what you guys did this past season. I would assume it's just get past that Sweet 16, maybe, Scott.
Well, that would be great. Again, I let our coaches and student athletes set kind of the expectations they have for the team, and not have the athletic director come in there and try to put something on top of them, right, to add pressure or anything. My role is to come in there and support them the best way I can so that they can achieve their goals. But certainly we would love to be in this same type of situation again, right, to have an opportunity to play that Sweet 16 game, to make it to the Elite Eight, and like we've talked about before, to continue to grow, right? I mean, I think when you think about programs, I hate the labels P5 and G5, but you think about the G5, where I just call that the less resourced schools, right? We have less money than the other ones. To be a top 16 seed 2 years in a row so that you could get a bye and then host the next round, that's incredible, right? I mean, I realize Marshall won a national championship not too long ago, but it's incredible to do that 2 years in a row, and I'd love for us to get a chance to do that again, to where we could get that top 16 seed again. And we're going to work with Coach Russell and figure out what he thinks he needs from a support standpoint to help us accomplish that. So that's always the goal, is to get that top 16 seed and get a chance to host that second round, right? It's the first game, but get a bye and be able to host. That's that's always a goal, because that really gives you a chance to go deep in the tournament. And of course, like in anything, especially men's soccer, I mean, you'd love to win that national championship. But again, I'll let the coaches and the student athletes set those goals for next year, rather than me as the AD, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, you talked about hosting the game, Scott. That was a crazy game. I don't know if you were there with the rain and the penalty shootout. That was,
Scott was there. He wouldn't miss that for the world.
That was one of the craziest soccer games I've seen ever in my life. I mean, how that came down to the wire,
edge of my seat, every single penalty, every single taking PKs.
I was there, and let's see, you can see that there's some extra gray right there from all those PKs. And I had to have lost at least a year off my life for the heartburn that I was dealing with. Man, that was, and I was down by the fence where the PKs were taking place. So that was, man, that was crazy. 12 PKs. I've never seen anything like it. That was just a roller coaster of emotions, for sure.
I'm seeing the World Cup penalty kicks, and I'm being like, oh, that's cool. But those FIU penalty kicks, they were out of this world. Yeah. All right. I think it's time for a quick news break, where I shall take over and go over some current events going on with FIU and the conference world, starting off with the 8 FIU football players have earned all Conference USA honorable mention recognitions, including 3 offense and 4 defense. The offensive players include quarterback Grayson James, offensive lineman Jacob Peace, and sophomore tight end Rivaldo Fairweather. 4 players on defense, 3 of which were linebackers, include Devon Strickland, Sean Peterson Jr., Donovan Manuel, and Gathan Bernadelle. And even punter Dayton Montiel got some love. Punters get love too, as part of the All-Conference USA honorable mention recognition team. And as well, 4 FIU rookies have been selected to the All-Conference USA All-Freshman squad. Those freshmen are Demetrius Hill, Hakezia Massis, John Bach II, and Jackson Lee. Moving on now a bit to some more college football news. A bit of a shocking story with the University of North Texas specifically, they just fired their head coach, Seth Littrell, following their Conference USA championship appearance where they lost to the University of Texas San Antonio. It seems a bit surprising on the surface until you look at his record there, 44-44. And even though he's made it to the Conference USA championship and quite a few bowl games, they have yet to win any during his tenure here. So they will look to replace him with whoever's available. But the big head coaching news was the winner of the prime time Deion Sanders sweepstakes. He ended up going to the University of Colorado, and of course transfer and recruits have just skyrocketed over at that university, as a little bit of prime time never hurts any school, and we'll see where it goes from there. I'd love to talk to Coach Mike about of course being from the University of Colorado, about his thoughts on Deion going there. And going back to FIU real quick, for the students, freebie, getting an upgrade. That's the free cart service that's been around since 2020 that allows students who don't own cars or need to get anywhere in a hurry, they can request a ride around MMC, BBC, and the Engineering Center with brand new freebie Tesla Model X's. That ought to be just super cool. So if you're a student that needs to get around campus in a hurry, just download the app and request your next ride. And that was your very brief news break. Kevin, take it away. We got some questions from some of the people watching that I'm sure they'd love to get the scoop on from Scott. So let's not waste any time.
Yeah, we only have 2 questions, but they're pretty good questions, I will say. And this is the first one, comes from Daniel Rodriguez. He says, has conference realignment been discussed at FIU, Scott?
Well, I mean, it's one of those where you're always talking about what's next, right? I mean, trying to figure that out. We're in Conference USA. We're proud members of Conference USA. We just got a new TV deal, new media rights deal that's going to be really positive for us. So we're excited about that. The money's going to be in a good place. The exposure is going to be in a good place. We're excited to be partnered up with CBS Sports Network and ESPN. Those are the only 2 platforms. So no more Conference USA TV. We won't be with Stadium, right? So it'll be a little bit easier, a lot easier, I think, for our fans to find us. It'll either be on one of those 2 linears or it's going to be on ESPN Plus, right? It's going to be a lot easier to find us. So we're excited, honestly. We're excited about the new league that'll start up, the new membership, I should say, that'll start up here in fall of 23 with 9 members. And then in fall of 24, we'll add Kennesaw State to have a 10th member. So again, we're proud members of Conference USA. I mean, it's one of those deals where you've always got to keep your eye on what's going on, right? You always want to make sure that you're in a great position. And at the end of the day, as I tell our staff all the time, we need to dominate the conference that we're in. We need to make sure that we're winning conference championships here in Conference USA and being the best that we can be there. So again, I think people across the country talk about realignment all the time, and if you're not talking about it, the next thing you know, you're reading a story about 2 teams that are going somewhere, right? And you're going, where did that come from, right? So you're always keeping your eye on that to make sure that if there's music that starts to play and then it stops, that you got a seat, right? You always want to make sure that you're in that place. But we're excited about taking on the new membership here starting in 23 and 24.
And then the final question comes from Edwin Garcia. Any chance we'll see some Sunblazers throwback football uniforms?
Gotta love the Sunblazer branding. We just look at the top right. We love our Sunblazers.
Yeah, sure. It's a good question. I don't know about a full uniform, right? Uniforms are not cheap. We talked earlier.
Brand new ones too.
We talked earlier. You guys put it up there about joining the Panther Club, right? That helps us get new uniforms, right? Folks aren't short on letting me know that what we need to get. But it really helps when they help me buy them, right? I'd love to buy some new uniforms. It's just funding to do that is great too, right? But kind of kidding aside a little bit, we definitely want to do a lot more with the Sunblazer, right? Some throwback situations, 365 out of the year, right? And make sure that we're working on that from a merchandise standpoint and trying to mix it into our game days and uniforms and stuff a little bit as well. I'll be honest, we don't have a thorough plan just yet, right, of exactly what that's going to look like. But between Sunblazer and Vice, right, we definitely want to make sure that we're ramping up what we're doing there from a uniforms, from a theme, from a merchandise standpoint, getting all of those areas aligned, right? And that doesn't just happen, week to week. You can't just say this week we want to have a Sunblazer game next week and have some merchandise, right? It's a much longer lead time, but we're certainly having those conversations back here. I love the Sunblazer. I love that stuff. My previous school had a lot of fun with an old mascot, and we certainly plan on having fun with the Sunblazer for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you guys killed it with the Vice. I mean, the field was phenomenal. It even got national attention.
My word.
The helmets were great. I love how you guys also always change up the field, something nice, something new. Definitely, I never really seen college football. This is maybe the first college I've ever seen change up their field, the look of the field every game. So I love to see that. And Jake, anything?
Well, you nailed it, Kevin. You nailed it. We're the only school.
We're
the only school out there that changes our field design. Only FBS school. I don't know if an FCS does it, but only FBS school that changed our home field design every game. So that's something unique to us that we really enjoy doing, and we're gonna keep doing it.
And I love the fact that every game was a different uniform combination, whether it was the change of shirt and pants with like with the different helmet designs that have been. Every week, it's cool to see something new, something refreshing every week for a football game. Just for the aesthetics alone, it's very pleasing.
Absolutely. Well, and again, that's part of the building the brand and getting people to pay attention a little bit more, right? When they're seeing some of those things and they're looking out for that stuff. And again, we're going to keep doing that. We just scratched the surface this year on our brand building. I'm really excited about what we're going to be doing here this next year, because to show where we were when we first started, I actually had people complimenting me on how great we were doing with our social media. And that was like my first month on the job. And it was stuff I was doing, and I'm terrible at it. Right. But we've got people in place now like Dan Frisella and Hunter and Christian and some of these other guys that are just really good. And Mikey, we got a great team now that's really putting some great content together and putting it out for us. So that's always good. And, I thought I saw too. I don't know, Kevin, if you had more questions, but I thought I saw where my man Danny Dennis had asked one about some facilities out there.
It's that one right there.
Yeah,
thanks
there you
for all
go.
You do, proud Panther Club and stakeholder. Yeah.
Wanted to address that because we'll here in the next few years we'll definitely have one of our facilities named after Danny from the major gift he'll be giving us. So that'll be great. But no, it's. I wanted to throw that one out there because I'm really excited about it. I think I mentioned some things about strategic plan and some of that stuff. I'm a broken record, so if I didn't talk about our strategic plan on here, forgive me. But we're actually engaging with some sports architects. We haven't had our first meeting yet, but we've gone through the process of getting them engaged and getting them onboarded and contracts and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to be working with some sport architects to look at all of our facilities and figure out what we need to be doing, right? So it'll be a few months after we put the strategic plan out before we can actually get our facility master plan and capital campaign, right? Because we need to put dollar amounts to it and figure out how much money we need to go raise to get our facilities where they need to be. But we're certainly looking at those things, from a track to swimming pool to a basketball indoor practice facility, to what do we need to do about a football indoor practice facility, to what we need to do at our softball stadium, the fact that we actually need to build a nice soccer stadium and not just have bleachers. And again, I'm leaving some things out, not on purpose, but there's a lot that we need to tackle. So we're going to work with the sports architect and put a lot of things together so that we can figure out what a cost is and put a plan together to go raise those funds to do it. And at the same time, we're also working on some more renovation situations, whether it be hydrotherapy rooms or trying to build a secondary weight room over at the Ocean Bank Convocation Center. There's a bunch of different things like that, whether it be replacing some turf at some places or, replacing video boards at places, whatever it may be. We're putting all that stuff together on a list as well. And we're going to start tackling that, and stay tuned. We'll have some good news on some renovations, a few smaller projects that we're looking to do. We'll have some good news coming here, and hopefully in the next week or so about some things that we're going to do to help make a few of those smaller projects happen. The bigger projects like a soccer stadium or an indoor practice facilities and some of that stuff. Those are bigger items, bigger ticketed items that'll take a little more fundraising. But we're definitely going to start tackling the facility stuff even harder than we did year one, starting really soon.
Mm-hmm.
Love to hear that.
Yeah, I do have one quick question. I actually asked you this question during the episode of The Claw way back in the day, and I kind of want to ask it again, especially because now it's even bigger to me because I kind of work for them now. Hockey at FIU, will we ever see it?
Well, I don't think you're going to see hockey at FIU from an athletics standpoint anytime soon. I assume you're talking about men's hockey as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. When it comes to Title IX, if we added hockey, we'd probably have to add 2 to 3 women's sports as well. And then we'd have to add a facility, and, budgets and things of that nature. So that would probably be in the distant future, just to be honest with you, so that I'm not stringing you along, right? But I think it's a great sport. I know a lot of schools that have it as an intramural sport. Do we have it as an intramural sport or no?
We do not. We have a bunch of intramural sports.
A club sport.
Yeah,
I should say a club
clubs
sport.
and intramurals, but no hockey as of yet.
Okay. Yeah. So I know some other places I've been, they've had it as a club sport. I didn't mean to say intramurals. I meant to say club. They've had it as a club sport, but yeah, that's that one. Let's just say we're being pretty thorough with our strategic plan. That is not a part of the next 5-year strategic plan at FIU athletics.
Worth a shot.
Absolutely, sure.
All right, it's time for one more section here on the show, Scott. If you're down for it, let's predict some New Year's 6 bowl games. I know the New Year's 6 is very near and deep to you, Scott, but start things off here with none other than the Orange Bowl coming up on December 30th. I know it's a little early, but hey, who better to talk to about New Year's 6 than man who's been part of one of the biggest bowl games in the history of college football, talking about the Orange Bowl. We got Clemson, Tennessee. I'll go first. It's kind of a toss-up. I've liked what I've seen with Clemson, but the absolute change going over at Tennessee to being one of the powerhouses of college football, getting the number 1 spot earlier this year, it's going to be close, but I think I'm going to have to go with the Volunteers in a very close one this time. What say you, Scott?
Well, I think honestly, with all these picks, I should probably just say I'm remaining neutral and saying it's going to be a tie. That's probably the best way to keep myself out of trouble. But with this one, I probably have to stay neutral since I'm technically a member of the Orange Bowl committee. I don't know that I'm allowed to predict that one. I'm going to have to pull a Herb Street and say I'm announcing at that game. So I can't
We'll stay safe on that one then. What say you, Kevin?
Man, you look at the matchup and I don't know if this be that upset game. And man, I'm going to choose this as my upset pick of the week. I'm going to go with the Clemson Tigers beating the Tennessee Volunteers.
Interesting. Let's move things on to the Sugar Bowl now. Kansas State versus the Alabama Crimson Tide. Who you got, Scott?
Well, I'll preface it by saying I worked at Auburn for 6.5 years.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Yeah.
So there's times, well, as I tell people as an AD, you got to go with your head instead of your heart if you actually want to make a good decision. So I think, Alabama's a tough team to beat. They are a very, very good team. So I'd have to say Alabama on that one. Unfortunately,
I got to agree with you. And Alabama was this close to getting back into the college football playoff. They're that worthy of a team. And even though they're just out of it, I guarantee you Nick Saban and the Alabama, they're not going to let up just because they're not in a college football semifinal. I got to go Crimson Tide. What say you, Kevin?
We're going to go clean sweep here. I'm taking Alabama. You mentioned it. That's just one of the powerhouses of college football. Unfortunately, they did not make the college football playoffs once again, but we have a new team in there, and I believe that's TCU. So that'll be interesting how that'll work out.
Moving on to an actual college football semifinal game. It's the Peach Bowl on December 31st. The time has yet to be decided. It could be either 4 or 8. Georgia, Ohio State. It would be quick to write off Ohio State just because of the success that Georgia has had, but the Buckeyes play teams tough. they play teams super tough. That's what they're known for. They have their wonderful quarterback there who is a Heisman finalist. It's one of those things where it would be awesome to pick the upset, and lo and behold, you get it right at the end of the day. But I just can't see a way that this high-powered Georgia offense and their just as high-powered defense can somehow let Ohio State stay into this game heading into the third and fourth quarter. I'm taking the Bulldogs. What say you, Scott?
I think that's a good pick. They have looked almost invincible this year, so I think that's a solid choice.
Kevin?
Yeah, I'm going Georgia as well.
Another clean sweep. I can't wait to see whoever.
Is this the first ever time we've had 2 clean sweeps on this show?
I don't know. We'll have to get back to the Jonathan episode for that because he took some crazy upsets, and I think he actually did pretty well. But moving forward, the Fiesta Bowl. Michigan, TCU. Michigan is just like Georgia, right? They don't look like they can be beat. They don't look like they have a shot. But there's just something about TCU and the way their quarterback is played. I hear Kevin and or Scott being like, oh, God, he's going to pick the Horned Frogs, ain't he? I'm not going to pick the Horned Frogs, but I do think they're going to keep this very close. It's going to be down to the wire because I think TCU and their quarterback is a much better team than most of the nation has given them credit for. They had that tough loss to Kansas State in the championship, but they deserve to be here. And they deserve to play a team that high caliber of Michigan. And they're going to put on a good show. But I got to go with the Wolverines. How about it, Scott?
I would have to agree with you going back to my head over heart, right? I think TCU's quarterback, he's a special young man. I really enjoy. I was only really able to watch one game this past weekend. I don't have much time to watch these games other than FIU. But Michigan is they've looked pretty invincible this year too.
Mm-hmm. Kevin,
a third clean sweep. I'm going Michigan.
Third clean sweep. We're killing it, Scott. Oh my goodness, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now on to the Cotton Bowl, which is on January the 2nd, 1 p.m. USC and Tulane. Now, if your team is not the Utah Utes, then you have struggled against USC. Then you have likely struggled against the Trojans this season. They are a solid football squad, and they're playing a sort of mystery team, being Tulane. And unfortunately, I got to bring up UCF for a second with Tulane and how they looked against them in the conference championship game. But again, it's Tulane feels like a mystery team. You don't really know what you're going to get. That's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing because if you spend the time and really look deep at Tulane, they have a very solid program, but so does USC. Do I really go for the upset here? Nah. Give me USC. It's kind of a boring pick, sadly, but I don't know if Tulane has enough talent, especially on defense, to take down USC. How about it, Scott?
Well, I may go away from my saying before and go a little bit more with my heart. Tulane, I love the underdog in this situation. They were a member of the American Athletic Conference when I was there for a long time, a member of Conference USA back in the day when when I was at Southern Miss, there was a rivalry game there. Friends with the AD there at Tulane, Troy is there, and anyway, it'd be special to see them get that upset. That G5 team get the upset. So I'm probably going a little with my heart there, but we'll go that way.
Ooh, he's taking the green wave. Are you on board, Kevin?
No, unfortunately not. I'm sorry. I'm taking USC. I mean, I'm still pretty shocked that they lost to the Utah Utes, to be honest with you. But I mean, hey, you still got to give credit to USC and what they've done this season. I mean, it's crazy. And same with Tulane. It's been very impressive. So, but I'm gonna take USC here to win the Cotton Bowl.
All right, we couldn't just go complete clean sweep. Huh? We just had to ruin it there. All right, and the last of the New Year's 6 games, the Rose Bowl. Penn State, Utah. If you watched even a bit of that Utah USC game, this was an all-around amazing display of talent by Utah in that game. And Penn State's no joke themselves, but I'm riding the Utah train for this one. Give me the Utes. Not much to say, really. I'm a big fan of them, and I like Penn State too. But the Utes are something special this year. How about it, Scott? Are you on board?
I'm on board. I'm on board with the Utes.
All right, Kevin.
Oh, the Utes. I'm going the upset. I'm taking Penn State.
Going the upset. All right. So there was your New Year's Six. Quick thing, Scott. Of course, you've spent quite a bit of time at UCF. How do you feel about them against Duke in the Military Bowl?
It's a good question. I haven't seen Duke play at all this year, so I'm not sure. I think very highly of Coach Malzahn, and know that when it comes to bowl games and things, he always puts a really good game plan together. So again, whether it's my head or my heart, it'd be hard for me to go against UCF and Coach Malzahn and Terry Mahajer and the whole group there, to get that win.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. All right, Scott, you've been an absolute legend. We can't thank you enough for joining us on episode 3 of the Paws Up Podcast. Before you go, do you have anything maybe you'd like to say to the students or the athletes watching, and the alumni as well? Just about anything pretty much regarding the FIU Panthers?
Well, always start with a thank you, right? Thank you guys for having me on. Thank you to anybody that's listening, and thanks for those that are supporters of FIU athletics. And again, we need more of you, right? We just tell your friends, again, join the Panther Club, buy tickets, come see us, come support us. We need to fill up our venues and create those great
third time the charm, right?
Home field and home court advantages. But again, FIU is a very special place, and we have an opportunity to do some really special things. We've got the alumni base, we got the student body for it, we've got the campus for it, we've got the city for it. We've got everything lined up and ready to go. It's just need a little bit of time and a lot of support, and we'll we're going to accomplish really big things. So I couldn't be more excited, more energized, and ready to go. And hopefully the rest of our fan base and alumni base are ready to go as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll
Final
be leaving
thoughts
a
to yourself,
link.
Kevin?
Yeah, no, I was just going to mention that we'll be leaving a link to the Panther Club down below in this video and the podcast. So whoever wants to join the Panther Club could do that as well. And
Awesome.
Thank you, Scott. It was amazing having you. We had a great time, and hope to have you on soon to talk some baseball, and then maybe at the conclusion of the basketball season, get into that as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Sounds great. I love it. I'm looking forward to watching our basketball teams compete, and obviously with Coach Witten getting started and our softball team. And anyway, so much, tennis and swimming. And I mean, we just got so much going on. So really excited for the next chapter now that the fall sports have concluded. Looking forward to the winter and spring sports. So it's exciting times.
FIU is one of those fortunate schools that has a bit of everything. There's always something going on, and it's always exciting to be a part of that. To the fans that have been watching on Twitter, YouTube, and or Facebook, we can't thank you enough. And again, and keep those questions coming. And thank you so much. And again, Scott, thanks again for taking the time to join us for episode 3 of the Paws Up Podcast. Until next time, Paws Up.
Paws up.
Paws up.